Hello everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. I, of course, am Rotype. Welcome back to Cedar Valley Redux, where I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is I spent about 3 or 4 hours doing things not on camera. I didn't get it in a time lapse, I didn't get it live, obviously, so there's a bit of stuff you all haven't seen. The good news is it wouldn't have looked good on camera anyway. I've talked a little bit about this in the past, this kind of inner city detailing stuff that would just be really difficult to get on camera in a nice way. So the good news is it wouldn't have been good footage anyway. So I guess we'll just go through with that little intro and start to just kind of cruise a couple of the things that I worked on. And there's an example of what I was talking about, how constantly clipping through buildings trying to get these things done. But this is the first, well, wasn't the first one I did, but the first one I'll show you all. This little area here, I guess for reference I should zoom out a little bit and show you where we are. So here we're at the border between Northside and Nora. So honestly, one of the more difficult things that I was trying to take care of in between episodes was all of these in-between areas between the highways here and buildings that are zoned in. So if you'll recognize, these are zone buildings, and then this is a ploppable Rico, but there's all this kind of in-between space. On this side, we did a good job of just kind of zoning right up next to the highway, but on this side we had some empty space. So I had to go in, and like I said, one of the more difficult things to do was actually to get fill it in with something. So we'll go through and I'll just kind of show you a couple of the things that I filled it in with. Again, this one, just like a nice back area with some planters and, you know, like a lunch area, things like that. I believe this thing came with this building, but I kind of co-opted it into this building's little space. And then in here, a lot of parking lots. You know, it just places need parking lots, and there aren't a ton in the game. And I know I talked about previously not liking in this dense space buildings that have their own parking lots, but I think these kind of grouped parking lots make up for that. I think that helps, because I feel like in more dense areas, and I've seen this a little bit in my research, your parking areas tend to be centralized, like more grouped into one space for a bunch of parking. Then every building gets a couple parking spots on the street, a couple parking spots nearby, stuff like that. So I'm okay adding these lots back here, also because I wasn't really sure what else to do, but I think it came out pretty well. Just kind of fenced in, and you saw in the opening shot there, just added a little bit of a guard shack, and I kind of just went along and did similar things. Another parking lot here, again, just kind of walled it in to keep things separate. And actually, this grew in when I didn't expect it to. This should be not, there we go. Okay, so that should be the way I want it to. Actually, while we're here, let's take this back to a useful time to see. Maybe that's a little bright, but okay. So again, another parking lot here, and then another parking lot here. These are mostly just, honestly, a bunch of them I could copy paste, but just, you know, some concrete, some fencing, stuff like that. And then let's see, let's go, maybe not block by block, but we'll just kind of go through and see if there's anything in particular I want to highlight. I guess this was a pretty nice little bit of park that I built. You can see just kind of filled in, again, this awkward space between the road, and I could have zoned in there, but I don't know, it felt nice to have a little bit of a park. This little plaza thing plopped in nicely. I just added some trees and dirt and decals and stuff like that. And you'll see as I go through the rest of the little areas that I've been working on, you'll see a trend of just kind of tile, bollards, and then these, what are they called, curbs. And I don't even necessarily need to put bushes in, because frankly, the curbs are kind of enough to really show, or really just kind of break up the pavement or tile or whatever it is. Now, I'm sure you all have noticed this already, but this is going to bother me a lot that I used a different size one on each side here. Now, hopefully, yeah, I was afraid of that. Well, all right. I'll have to make a note to come back to that, but I noticed it. I apparently didn't notice it when I was making it, but I have noticed this now, that these don't match. But we'll go ahead and move on. So let's see. We did the park. Let's see if I can get these zoning things to go away. There we go. And then mostly it was just kind of filling in space. See, I filled in here, and there's not really enough space to do much. And most of the time you're looking at the city from some kind of oblique angle, and you don't really even notice that. So I didn't fill in kind of the very small spaces you'll see here and here. But this is another good example of, this was actually a plopped plaza. And then I just tiled out this area, put a little bit of walls going in where it would make sense. I think these chain bollards help things look great. It really kind of seals off the area. And that's pretty much it, you know, that just in a couple different places. Let's see, what else have I worked on? This is all the same. Even a simple thing like this, just adding some of these curbs, just to give it a little bit of, I don't know, delineation, a little bit of green in the city. And then of course we're dealing with this parking that comes with the asset that doesn't necessarily make sense, or at least in my head doesn't make a ton of sense. So I added the bollards to kind of separate it from pedestrian areas, back here and here, some fencing. You know, you do what you can with these kind of vanilla parking lots that come in. But this is the one that I really like. This particular block came out pretty well. Got the tiling on this side, again, standard, just bollards, tiling, a little bit of curbs with some trees or bushes. And then back in here, you take kind of a farther away view, and then we'll zoom in a little bit. Just a different set of tiling. This, I guess, is stone as opposed to tile. And then just kind of came in, and I spent a lot of time working on this one. This is the first one I was working on, and got really into it. Just kind of bringing in different curbs in places, and these trellises, I believe they're called, on the workshop, that are pretty nice. And, you know, filling them in with trash cans and all the other things. So I think this looks like a nice little courtyard. You know, if you worked in one of these buildings, you go out there and have lunch. I think it came out really well. And then, let's see, there's probably not too much else. More of the same. Again, here, some tiling, some bollards. These road wear decals are fantastic to just kind of turn empty concrete into, I don't know, something that looks good. I believe these are painted in parking, which is why there's nobody there. So I might have to go back and add some vehicles myself. And then, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much more of the same. Some bollards and curbs, some parking. Let's see. Here's another one of the more unique ones, I suppose, but it's still kind of the same idea. You saw I really like this trellis, so I used that pretty much wherever I could think to use it. And then this was already done. I gave this little backyard just a small little area, and these other couple zones, these buildings that kind of work as a unit. So first these three get their own block all walled off, and this kind of fake path, people kind of going from one building to the other. And then same idea over here, but a little bit less so, just because they take up multiple blocks, so there's streets going through. I did have to abandon that idea I had a couple episodes ago of that pedestrian bridge. I might try to bring that back somewhere. Maybe not in here, because I do like how this kind of came together. You see, this kind of looks like it's all part of a set. I really kind of like that. But I hadn't forgotten about that, so I might eventually... Oh, got some frames jumps going on. I might eventually go back and do something about, like, similar to that. And then I believe, like I said, that is probably about it. Again, just trying to fill in these backside areas with something to make it look half decent. So, you know, I always debate about using parks. Do I zone in some more? Here I just fenced off these buildings and just filled it with, you know, junk, just useless land. We got a mixture of the Fidelmo grass. We got, I believe, Mr. Mason bushes and gula grass. So just all kinds of little things to make it look a little more realistic. Now I'm going to get out of there because we're getting total frame hitches. I probably could have done better by pausing the simulation, but that is the extent of what I accomplished between episodes. Oh, but there is one other thing I suppose I should talk about. So if you remember, I was talking about, let me pull it up so we can show it directly. This crematorium that blends in with these office buildings. And I was talking about how it was great and it blends in and I like it. I think it was causing problems with my health or death care, I suppose I should say, because I was getting a problem where, let me see if I can find, here we go. I've clipped these two together. I was getting a problem where none of my hearses were being used, like none. So I was having all of these death problems. You would see it's all clear now, but there were just dead people everywhere. And it was a major, major problem. I thought at first I was going through a death wave, which if you've played this game for a while, you've probably experienced a death wave. You know, you zone a bunch of area all at the same time. So a whole bunch of people of the same age move in and then they all die at the same time. Well, that's what I thought was happening, but it turns out that was not it. And I would go into the crematoriums and it would say hearses in use, 0 out of 7. And it would flicker 1 and then back to 0, 1 and then back to 0. And this was happening both with my vanilla crematoriums here, as well as that modded crematorium that I had to, or added and ended up having to delete. So I ended up actually deleting all of my crematoriums and then replacing a few. The most, I guess, impactful of that was over here. So if you remember, we had this cemetery that used to look a little different. The crematorium used to come back about, I don't know, this far or so. And then the cemetery was just kind of back here. Well, I had to extend the cemetery because the vanilla crematorium is a little bit smaller. So I extended that. I just kind of added some little parking here, you know, pretty basic detailing. And all the rest were pretty much just plopped in. There was, let's see, so there was a advanced crematorium or whatever it was called here that you can see I just plopped in some clipping ones. And I believe there's another one over here. Yeah, which just looks, you know, just looks like this. Again, basic detailing, just kind of carried the fence around and added some parking to make it look not completely out of place. So that was it. Like I said, that I did before or between episodes, although it did take me quite a while, all of that detailing. The only other thing I would like to show, because I did show it in the cinematics, but I'm not sure if you caught it. And I just want to highlight it because this is cool. If I play, you can see this fountain here is animated. Like the water's going. It's nothing, you know, it's not amazing. Well, it is amazing, but it's nothing like groundbreaking, but I think it's cool. So I'm, you know, whoa. And apparently people take swims and or spawn out of the middle of the fountain. But, okay. Okay, I guess that must be where the people hangout spot is. Let's see if any of these people are, nope, not gonna go in there. Okay, well, it's a magic people generating and consuming fountain that has nice animated water. So I think it's cool. And like I said, I showed it in the cinematics, but I'm not sure if you caught it. So just thought I would highlight that here before we get to work on what we're up to in this episode. Okay, enough talk. Let's actually get some work done today. So the first thing I want to do is actually finish out this block, which is going to be a bit of the same detailing process that I've been doing in there, but it's a little bit removed from the tall building, so you'll actually be able to watch what I'm up to. And I think that'll be a good thing. So let's go ahead and get started. I think this is a great asset, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's up on this weird pedestal thing. So I've got to try and find like a wall. Oop, okay, move the mouse out of the way. I have to try and find a wall that will, okay, so there's one that's about that height. Yeah, okay, so let's see if I can find another one that might blend in a little more, but we might be okay just using that. I was worried about finding something that will match and look. So here's concrete. This looks a little more industrial and temporary. Yeah, I think at this point, maybe we will go with the concrete ones. Let's just take a flip through and see what else we have. Brick wall. No, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work either. These are these new walls. Yeah, actually, these look great. These are the new Beard Monkey walls. No, he's been doing some construction type work recently. You can see you've got, this is the beginning of a house kind of thing. So these are kind of cool. I don't know how this is, I guess, law. I don't know why that shows up when I search for wall. let's just take a quick scan. I believe that's everything. Yeah, we're just gonna get all those logos. So I think it was what, concrete wall? And this one. Okay, let's pause the simulation so I can actually get some work done. And then turn anarchy on. There we go. And see what we can do to make this look a little more, or I should say a little less, just kind of plopped in and more integrated into the city. So let's see. There we go. Oops, wrong button. Okay. So there's that, and then let's just bring this all the way down. I'm just gonna reserve this whole block, and we'll probably have to cut in a entrance of some kind at some point. But for now, this will be fine. And I'm just gonna have to do the corners separately. Whoops. Bring this over as well. That'll be good. Now I should mention, while I'm doing this, that I did get a new ambient sounds pack because, to be honest, the sounds in this game aren't that good. And the modded in sound packs are pretty good. But it messed with all my volume settings. So you'll have to let me know if the volume is okay. Because, like I said, everything got messed around with, so it's possible that some of the sounds are too loud. They are a little bit loud to me, at least compared to what they used to be, because I had them turned off because I didn't like them. But that could just be in my headphones, not necessarily captured into the recording. So, like I said, you have to let me know. I think for these side areas, I'm just gonna bring in, whoops, dirt if I could spell. Just bring in a bunch of decals and just dirty them up. Although this, unfortunately, is not convenient sizing because I don't really want it to eke out onto the street too much. Let's just see, maybe, yeah, here we go. I think I can just do this. This this old dirt decal that Ronix made, you know, forever ago that we tend to forget about because we've got new ones, but really, this is actually a pretty good decal. And there's no reason to forget about it. We're just gonna dirty that up like that. Now, the only unfortunate thing about it is this white blob thing, but we can cover that up with something else later. So here's that. Let's see if I got the corner taken care of. And I'm okay with a little bit of dirt on the other side of the wall. I mean, you walk around cities, you see stuff like that. You know, some dirt gets out onto the other side of their little temporary walls, but just want to kind of cover it up. Yeah, okay, so I was afraid of that. This decal has decided it's the top level, so we'll have to work with that. The other thing I do want to do, though, is fill in just some gravel and other of this stuff. Not only do you change the color, but to get rid of those sprites that pop through, those kind of grass things that I'm pretty sure nobody likes. Although, I say that, if I didn't like them at all, I would get that mod that disables them. But I find that every once in a while, they're kind of useful, so I keep them around. I don't know why. We'll just finish this up over here. Just a couple different types. Again, can't really tell, so I don't know why I'm really switching it up, but it makes me feel better. Okay, so there we go. That's kind of dirty, and as we get in with the other props, we'll go in and add some down that way. And again, on this side, just kind of covering with some surface painter of various kinds. And some blobs of this color. Let's actually just go, well, 15 is a little too big for the quite intricate detail work. But we can get the blobs at least. So let's go back to this, and I want back to single. Kind of strew this about in various places. I think this gravel color, he says as he moves to the ruined, is kind of a good color, good base for this construction area. And we can add kind of dirt on top of that. So speaking of, we'll just go in and just kind of scatter this everywhere. And you know, I was talking about how good this dirt decal is, and yet I spend almost the whole time trying to hide that little white patch. So let's see what else we can get in here. Some of Avania's dirt. There we go. Just toss this about in various places. More Onyx dirt. Just enough to kind of, I mean, basically I'm trying to hide the grass and give the area a bit of a mixed texture. So here I'm going to give this decal another placement here. Again, trying to hide that white thing, but there we go. Okay, so now, again, I just want to go in and cover these sprites up. Get rid of all that grass nonsense. Get out of here. Okay, that should be almost everything. And, you know, a few of them are okay. It does change the texture a little bit, make it look like, you know, something... There is some kind of weird shrubbery poking through, which this place wouldn't be completely paved through. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't know why talking about pavement made me think about mud, but we're going to toss some of these mud decals in as well, just to give you some extra stuff to look at. But this little corner here that we need to cover up any little bit of green grass space. And then these actually will go on top of, well, maybe not. I don't understand the decal ordering sometimes. When they go on top of other decals and when they go under. But, oh well. Alright, so this now looks much more like a construction zone already. I mean, we haven't even had any props, but we just have mud and you know, junk, dirt. It's not a pleasant place in the middle of a city for you to hang out. Yeah, man, these mud decals, I tend to forget about them sometimes, but they're pretty awesome. So there is kind of our floor base level. From here, we'll get started on the props. How lucky am I that when I happen to stumble upon this episode, this is shortly after Beard Monkey has released his latest set of props, being not these ones I'm working with in particular right now, but a bunch of construction props. So that will help us out a lot. Of course, by the time this episode goes live, the construction pack will have been out for quite a while, and you guys will be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But trust me, when I'm recording this, the prop pack is relatively new, so I'm excited. Yeah, these I think are a few of them, these concrete pipes. These are all stuff that's been around, but we're gonna head and make use of all of this stuff. And even some of these things that I don't even really know if they'd really use them on a real construction site. They look good, and I'm gonna go with it. Especially, yeah, so he's had these around for a while. These little ones, I believe, are in the new pack. And that clearly that same texture, so they go well together. Yeah, sweet. I like them. Now we have these plastic pipes as well, which are a little different, so they get their own section. And we don't even need them to be in any kind of order. We're just gonna pile them up in weird piles here. Like, I could use another pile right there. Maybe just like that. And one more. There we go. So let's see, any other pipes we want to play with? No, that's probably good. At this point, probably just open up the props section here. Just flooded with Avania's trailers. Let's pass that. There we go, I-beams. So maybe I-beam. Will they show up? Nope. Let's just search for beam. Yeah, there we go. So this will be maybe the, I don't know, raw material stacking area back here. Got pipes and metal I-beams and all this kind of random junk. Sure, that's in a completely not convenient direction, but that's fine. Whoops, that's the wrong button. We'll just toss a few of these down. And yeah, there we go. Maybe one more. Well, let's do a short one. Yeah, just like that. Great. So you can already tell, I mean, it doesn't take much to just kind of place these props around and your aesthetic really starts to come together. I am going to actually grab the props. Oh, it's going to get me the decals too. So let's have to do this carefully. Oh, good. Didn't give me the decals. All right, just tuck those in and then move on to the next thing. So back to the props category. We got most of these. These are kind of smaller items, so I'm going to put them up here near, I don't know, this cabin office area I apparently decided to make. Because I feel like the smaller items might not be involved with these larger, more raw construction items. These are smaller, but they're a little more raw, I suppose. They're not as processed, so I'm going to stick them in here. Put down, I don't know, a whole bunch of them. That'll be good for now. Same thing with this. This might actually benefit from, well, actually, I got a better way. Whoops. Better way of doing this one. Do this, grab, move it. Hopefully don't get the decals, good. And copy paste a whole bunch. I used to be afraid of overdoing it, but I think as long as you kind of keep track and don't go absolutely crazy, like that seems like a lot until, well, might be a little bit too much. Just grab a bunch of them, delete some random sections in here. Okay, just one, that's fine. I have to do this manually, there we go. Just to make it not as much of a big box of the same thing repeatedly. There we go. That looks better. Now, what's the next thing? We got piles of stuff. I want to try to kind of avoid those random piles. They fit well, sort of, in the theme. Whoops. Palette. There we go. If I could spell. Palette. They fit well, sort of, in this kind of construction area, but I don't really know what kind of piles of stuff they would have, you know, in a construction zone. You feel like they'd be a little bit more processed materials, like the I-beams used to construct things, and I don't know, you know, windows and all kinds of things used in the construction, as opposed to just piles of raw bulk material. That'll be a lot more useful when we go back to the port and start working on that. There we go. Okay, piles of that stuff. Before I forget, I want to get in some forklift. Oops, just one. I mean, one for search. I'm gonna put in quite a few probably. One over here. Let's try to get the other kind maybe. There we go. Get some cranes. Although I believe, yeah, this already has a crane. So unless there's a tinier one, that one's not half bad. Maybe I'll stick this in somewhere. Maybe that'll go kind of down here. Make this side alley look a little bit better. Let's see. So that's it for the cranes. That's fine. Oops. Let's see what other kind of stuff we have here. Yeah, so these are all these pieces of things from Beard Monkey's pack. And these actually, I believe, are parts of a house. Like you would build your own little house, but I'm just going to stick them in random places. Well, yeah, that's probably maybe a third one here. And pretend this is just, I don't know, slabs or who knows what. Put some brick walls. There we go. Now we start getting into a little bit more of the equipment. I don't think we're going to be doing much drilling at this point. So that's fine. Maybe some dump trucks now. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and actually make the hole in the wall. And this will be our entrance. It's going to kind of do this like that. And whoops. There we go. And I'm going to clear out a little bit of this. And this is where our barrier will go. Whoops, barrier with an R. Now let's see if this is the right size. Oh, that's way too big. There we go. It'll just be kind of an entrance place. And this is, yeah, that'll work. Last thing I need, a concrete wall again. Finish this corner off. Good. So you can see we're like halfway there. So let's go back to our prop menu. And just see. Oh, porta pots. Yeah, okay. Construction workers need lots of porta pots, right? So, is there a front door that I can tell? Not with this blue stuff on it. Okay, hopefully that's... Oh, good. That worked out. Just give them a whole bunch of porta pots. That's good. And then other assorted just random things. Let's see, trash, yeah. There's always, you know, piles of trash. Bins to hold the trash. That'll be good for now. Let's see, I don't really need one of these. One of these bulldozers might be, well, I don't really know what that'd be up to, so. Ooh, I do like these road barriers. I like kind of stacking them. I don't need that long though. I need the shorter ones. There we go, 3 meters. I like to just kind of put these in a pile. Like they're, you know, using them to direct traffic and stuff, but they have extras. So those will go there. Now I need something to put right in the middle, and I think I have an idea of what I'm gonna do, but I believe I don't have it downloaded. So I'm gonna take a quick cut, jump onto the workshop, and grab what I think will go right here in the middle. Okay, I couldn't actually find what I was thinking about on the workshop, so I just went in and filled it with a couple other props, and you'll see on the side here I added a couple more props as well, some trucks in here, the wood to fill in the area, and you can't tell me that doesn't look like a construction site. I mean, you got the basics of a building and then just all kinds of piles of junk and fenced all off from the normal operating streets and everything. I think it looks great. I'm really happy with that. So that is pretty much the last thing I needed to do to finish these sections of downtown that I've been working on for the last, oh my, I don't even know, many weeks. So Nora up here is pretty much done. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I really need to do other than fix this. Let's see, what was it up here? Fix something up here. I wrote it down, so I'll come back and fix it when I remember. And then Midtown in here is pretty much done. Just kind of scanning through these blocks here. It looks like all the little weird extra spaces that this game leaves you with have been filled in with something. So I really like it. I think that it looks really cool. And especially, I mean, this, I don't know, it just looks cool. So these buildings here in Midtown are going to grow. They're going to get a little taller as we get going because right now they're all complaining. See if I get out of this mode. You can see they're all complaining about quality of services and all these other things. So they're not happy. And because of that, they're all level. Oh, actually, I'm kind of surprised to see that's level 3. I guess there's level 2 and 3. They're probably level 3 here and not very tall because there's only, what, like a 2 width here. But some of these will probably get taller. Yeah, these are all level 2. They'll grow to level 3 eventually when we zone in the rest of this space. Because you'll take a look here. The land value is all about water and density, I guess, as well as parks. I mean, parks obviously have a lot to do with it. You can see Boiler Point Park here is probably our most valuable land, maybe along the river here as well. But it's all about density and parkland. And we don't have too many parks down here. I mean, unfortunately, we have some nice parks that aren't actually registered as such, but really it's a density issue. So once we start zoning in more and filling the density in, this will start to grow and you'll get a little bit more of a skyline, although this is already shaping up pretty well. I like how this is coming in, especially some of these zone buildings like I talked about before. I was worried about having them look a little weird, but it just took a little bit of effort to get in there and detail some, and things will come together nicely. So if it doesn't kill my frame rate, I'm going to go ahead and take a gratuitous moment to just line myself up, not touch anything, and turn the LODs off. Yeah, there we go. What a skyline that is. Let's turn those arrows back off. I think this is coming together pretty nicely, if I do say so myself. So we're nearing the end of this episode, and I know we focused on just one kind of solitary area during this episode. So I want to make up for that by doing a little bit of something over here in an area that we haven't really touched much. We have this road network that I laid out who knows how many episodes ago. And I hadn't really come up with a plan for this area. Just kind of laid out the roads and figured I would deal with it later. But I have now decided what I want to do with this space. And as you can see here, I want to put our baseball stadium here. Now, this is a pretty nice asset. I don't really know how it fits kind of scale-wise. There are a lot of weird scaling things in this game where certain things can be just absolutely enormous and then other things just really, really small. This is a custom baseball stadium, and honestly, I've had it for so long, I don't even know who made it. Unfortunately, it doesn't say, and I apologize for not giving you the credit you deserve for making it, because I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm sure many of you have seen this before. It's been on the workshop for a very long time, but I like it because it's kind of urban looking with this facade here, the brick facade. So I really like it. And I think it reminds me a little bit of Fenway, just kind of a baseball stadium packed into a city with this kind of front on it. So this is what we're going to go with. This is going to be our urban kind of area. It's unfortunate it has these trees, but I can kind of blend it in with this area being right up next to the tracks. So this is our stadium. And how about that view? And we've got the stadium in the foreground, the skyline in the background. I think this is pretty cool. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have for this episode. As always, I want to thank you very much for watching. This was our first 100% live episode in a while, so I hope you enjoyed. When this episode goes live, mass transit will be right around the horizon. So rest assured there will not be a break in episodes. I am pre-recording all of these to make sure there will not be a gap when mass transit comes out and probably breaks all the mods. So there will be an episode on our regular schedule. I hope you join me for that, and make sure to click subscribe so you catch it. Remember, the thumbs are for your thoughts. Again, thank you all very much for watching. My name's been Brotype, and I'll see you next time.